everyone, welcome back to Poppy Seed Mini. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different, as you can already tell. Today, we are outside in my backyard, and we are going to be creating a garden bed for our Barbies. Now, Mom and I have spent the afternoon creating this raised garden bed. We built it 4 feet by 3 feet and added a back tier by just adding just half of a board and a full board across the back and another half of a board so that we could create levels and landscaping in our garden. So let's get gardening. One of the first things I'm going to do is add a tile in as patio block. Now this one is a really big tile that I'm going to be using, but you could also use decorative tile that are meant for backsplash. So I'm going to add one, and then I'm adding a second tile as well. Now you want this to turn out level because this is where you're going to be placing your doll, you're going to be placing your furniture, and all that kind of thing. I bought this flowering shrub called a Potentilla, which I'm probably butchering the pronunciation, but it normally has these cute little yellow flowers on it. But the thing that I liked about it is all the leaves are really tiny. So that was why I picked this one up. Now, I took the time to look through them. I didn't get a big bushy one. I got kind of a scraggly skinny one. But that was my goal because I want it to look like a tree in our garden. Now, I'm going to have to get rid of some of the lower branches so that we get a little more of a tree trunk look than what I have right now. Now I'm just trying to be careful because once I clip it, it's gone. So I'm just trying to work my way up so that I get the nice brown look of the tree. And to be honest, I think the flowers are a little big for Barbie, so I might snip that guy off. I really bought him for the leaves. Once you're done trimming the bush up, plant it near the back of your garden. The next type of tree I bought was the Dwarf Alberta Spruce. And I'm going to give them a little trim up as well before we plant them. So honestly, I'm just trying to remove some of the lower branches so that we get a little bit of a tree trunk from these guys. Ooh. Now, I picked up the shrub at Walmart for about $8, and these little dwarf spruce trees were picked up at Lowe's for $10 a piece. Now you just keep trimming them until you're happy with how they look. Like so. Now, I'm planting the taller of the two trees in the back. And the shorter one I'm planting a little farther down the landscape so that we get a little bit of a tiered look here. The next product I'm going to be using is this kind of, what do they call it? Travertine, a rough travertine subway tile, I believe. Just the regular size subway tile. And I'm using these to create a miniature retaining wall. Because like I said, we're adding a bit of a tier to the landscaping. So I'm just going to be using 5 across the back just to hold back some of the dirt. Now we're going to add more rock to this, so that's going to help hold these up. But this is the general stuff that's going to, you know, that way when it rains, we're not getting a lot of dirt down here on our patio. The next thing I'm going to be using is a little bit of flagstone. This is a kind of tan colored stone. It also comes in blues and reds and all sorts of different stuff. But I'm using this to create the upper tier, and it might be fun for our Barbies to walk around on some rocks. I'm setting those down on top of the tile here. Fill in dirt around wherever you need to. This is kind of up to interpretation here, up to your own interpretation here. You know, and don't feel like you have to go out and buy a big garden bed. This is something that can be created on a smaller scale in a pot, in a smaller, you know, garden bed. You don't need to go out and make the 4x3 foot one. That's just what we decided to do. I wouldn't limit yourself by your space. All right, now that we've created that, we can start adding in our plants. So this first plant I'm using, it's got this very nice spriggy, it's called Purple Robe. Now this plant will get taller, like it can get up to like 12 inches tall. So this is the plant I'm going to use to create our backdrop, so it's going in the back of the garden. Now my mom and I bought most of these plants, at least the flowering ones, from Lou's greenhouse in South Dakota. Now we go out there every year and pick out flowers. It's kind of our little ritual in the spring. We go and run out there. All right, so that's those in the back. Now, as you can see, there's a bit of a gap here under this rock. And I did that on purpose because I want to be able to have some cascading plants in this area. So I picked up this succulent at Menards earlier this year, and I just think this is going to be perfect because it really has this nice trailing effect. So I am going to make a bit of a mess with this one because I'm going to kind of try to pull it apart a little bit and get multiple chunks of it to use. Now succulents are great. Like if you get some little pieces off like so and you want to stick them in the ground, they're gonna grow whether they have roots or not. They really are just an amazing plant. So I'm just kind of trying to get some sprigs, and then I'll have I'm gonna leave this one. This is my biggest one, and I'm going to plant him right up under this rock. Now, where it touches the dirt, it should grow roots as well. So now we got that nice green coming out of the rock, and we'll add a little bit over here in this crevice. There we go. And then I want a little bit over here on this side. Now everything's going to take a minute to settle into place. And you just got to kind of work it a little bit. The next thing I'm adding in is these Diamond Coral Rose Descantia. I don't think I'm pronouncing that right, but I will have all the names of these flowers written in the description box below so that you can find them as well. Now these babies, they are fabulous. They've got these tiny little flowers and they're tall, so these are ones you're going to want to put in the back. But that pop of color is just going to be fabulous. By the end of it, it's going to be a bit of a cottage garden back here. I try to plan everything out, but there's just some stuff you just have to go for and see how it turns out. So, you know, if you get done making your garden and you decide, you know what, this is not how I want it, go ahead, pull it out, try again, because you know what? Sometimes you just gotta work on things for a while before you get them right. The next plant I'm going to be adding in behind all of those are these Lobelia. Now we got kind of a array of colors. These ones got the blues and the purple and the light blue, and the little white ones are just fabulous. So I'm going to go ahead and add some of these in back, as well as some kind of on the sides here to fill in the sides as well. Now I really love the blue and the coral colors together, so I'm for sure gonna add some of that in like so. Now I'm kind of popping all this stuff in pretty close together. But one thing I forgot to say is the type of soil I'm using. I added like 3 bags of regular garden soil, and then I added a little potting soil as well, just because I want the moisture to be maintained properly, and sometimes that potting soil does a better job. Just a timely tip there. So I am planting some of this a little close together, but I'm treating this more like a pot and less like a garden bed. So, whew, isn't that looking fun? Now, the next flowers I'm going to talk about are Alyssum. Probably not pronouncing that right either. This is the Easter basket mix, and you guys, these are fabulous. The colors are shades of purple, and there's a light pink and a white, and you guys, these flowers smell amazing. So they're gonna stay lower. These are a lower growing plant, so I'm gonna add them kind of up in this area and down through here. Now the fun thing is, you know, everything is going to spread out and kind of change as it starts growing. You know, make sure you're watering after you've got all this planted. You know, well, don't over water, but you know, just like any of your pots, you're gonna need to keep an eye on things. I'm really hoping that my girls come out here with their Barbie dolls and have a fun time and play with this. So if you're a mom or a grandma, you know, this is just, I'm so excited to have this little space that they can come and play outside with their dolls. Have you heard about the million bell flowers? They're kind of like a petunia, but they definitely have smaller leaves. They bush out really nice. They're fabulous for pots. One of these days, I'm gonna have to take you around my yard and show you my garden. But I'm gonna add these in on the side since the flowers are a little bit bigger, but they'll be fabulous in the background. And then hopefully they'll spread and pour off the sides too. Won't that be nice? This next one I'm adding in is called Garden Freckles. It is a very low-lying, spreading plant, and it's got these wonderful, adorable little yellow flowers on it. This is something I'm gonna put down below in the lower tier area so that or because it's so low-lying. All right, the next set of plants we're going to talk about are more succulents. So I have this little fuzzy guy that I'll probably try splitting in half and adding it. This is an ice plant. This one's a succulent, but it'll get these little fuzzy daisy-like flowers on them. This is kind of a crazy bushy succulent with a nice blue tone. And this one is called Stonecrop. It's also a succulent with a nice blue tone. These ones are a little bit lower. This is a perennial, so it might last till next year. So I'm just gonna pop them in around the lower parts of this garden. And like I said, I'm taking this fluffy one and dividing him in half so I can have him on both sides of the garden. Now, as I'm adding these things in, you guys, the look of this garden is just amazing. And at the end, I will add in some photos of what it all looks like. I know with the shot and the lighting is a little hard to see right now, but oh my gosh, the dolls could have a wedding in this garden. It's so gorgeous. I'm gonna add this one up here, a little bit more like a bush than a plant. Then those flowers and everything, I'll offset the color. Nice. Go. Oh, and then I break pieces off. Now, one thing with succulents, like I said before, if you break a piece off, go ahead and plant it in the dirt. It'll probably survive and grow roots. All right, we're coming to the end here. Just a couple more things. Now, I spread out some mulch around my garden bed, but I'm also going to use some of it around my trees, just to kind of give it that nice landscaped feel. And anywhere else where you got a gap or an opening that you kind of want to fill in, you can add a little mulch. It'll also keep the moisture level, or help with the moisture level in the garden. And it's harder for, the water won't wash away your dirt either that way. So if you've got a spot in your garden where you're having a little more of a washout, you know, it might not hurt to add a little mulch. Now you guys, I have no idea how much all of this cost, because a lot of it I already had. I kind of, you know, bought some flowers and the trees. A bag of mulch is normally around $2.50, you know, a couple bags of garden soil, but it's probably not the cheapest project, but it's definitely a fun one. I'm gonna add a little bit of mulch in here around the rocks too, just to kind of help keep the soil from moving and kind of just fill in different areas in. I might add a little bit right around the patio block. Just anywhere where you see a gap and you kind of feel like, I could use a little bit there, you know, just to fill in, like I said. If you're worried about the water running, it might be worth it just to kind of add some in, just in case. And it gives it a nice color. Now, the color mulch I'm using is a dark espresso color. It's what I use around the house in my regular garden. So I just grabbed an extra bag for this. Once it's all finished, of course, you're going to want to make sure you kind of spray down the patio and get that clean, but also water everything. Make sure nothing's going to dry out. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you next time.